4 touchdown passes for Donovan today, a nearly perfect day and a big day, not for Sean Merriman and the Chargers, but for Brett Favre. Little throwback here as well. Bart Starr, MVP of the first 2 Super Bowls. Now the present quarterback, Favre, with a little inside flip to Deshaun Wynn, which sets up a 1st and goal early in the second quarter. Then Favre to Donald Driver, who makes a great diving grab for the touchdown. Green Bay leads 10-7. Later, Favre to Bubba Franks for a 5-yard TD. That's number 419 for his career, one shy of Marino. Up by 10 are the Packers, but Phillip Rivers will lead the Chargers back. This TD pass brings them to within 3. Then the little screenplay to LaDainian Tomlinson, 21-yard touchdown. Rivers threw for 3 TDs today. San Diego back in front, 21-17. Now, in the fourth quarter, midway through, Favre to Donald Lee for 11 yards to the 1-foot line, but a penalty and a sack set them back. And 3 plays later, Favre to James Jones for 7 to the 1-foot line again. But then they threw an incompletion instead of running, and they gave the ball back. But they have good field position after a punt, and they don't waste any time this time. Just over 2 minutes to go. A 57-yard catch and run from Favre to Greg Jennings puts Green Bay in front, wins the game. In fact, they're in front at this point 24-21. They go on to win it 31-24, and that is number 420 for Brett Favre, who was 28 of 45 for 369, didn't throw an interception. The Packers 3-0. They've won 7 straight dating back to last year. And after the game, here is Brett Favre.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I am so glad we won. I could care less about that record today. It's like throwing that touchdown at the end. Everyone's over there celebrating and cheering and congratulating me. And I said, look, this will mean nothing if we don't win this game.
Peter King has Brett Favre's cell phone. You talked to him after the game.
I did, Bob. And let me tell you something. In the offseason, Mike McCarthy, the Packer coach, told Brett, I need you to have your best statistical season ever. And Favre, as Favre said to me after the game today, hey, not much pressure on me going into this year, huh? But what happened is this is the week that Favre knew that he was going to have to play big. For the first time in his career, every night till 11 o'clock, he's studying the tape that they put on his laptop. He comes in, only has 2 negative plays, 2 sacks, no interceptions. And, Bob, I think Favre told me today after the game that what everybody feels. He said, hey, nobody thought we'd be 3-0 right now. I didn't think we'd be 3-0 right now.
The only drawback, if it is a drawback, they play next week at Minnesota. So he likely breaks the record on the road.
On the road. That's right. Yeah, but he said, hey, I've had so many great games or fun games in Minnesota. Yeah. It'll be a fun place for him to play.
You don't actually have his cell phone. That wouldn't be right. You have his cell number.
That's correct, Bob.
Yeah.
Very good.
Meanwhile, as we go over to Chris Collinsworth, today, as it happens, is Marty Schottenheimer's 60th
on NBC.
This is the Chevy drive to kickoff. The defending NFC champion Bears off to a 1-1 start, hosting the 2-0 Cowboys. The Bears' celebrated defense tasked with slowing down the explosive Dallas offense. And on the other side of the ball, Rex Grossman looking to silence the critics, at least for a week. All right, kickoff drawing near. But first, we're going to bring you.
For more than 8 decades, a love affair between the city of Chicago and the Chicago Bears, who come out onto the field at Soldier Field, the NFC champions, tonight ready to take on red-hot Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys in a great matchup on NBC's Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels along with John Madden, Andrew Kremer. Welcome to Chicago, and so far so good for the Dallas Cowboys, coming 2-0. Knocked off the New York Giants on opening night at home. Went to hot Miami last week. Big second-half rally to defeat the Dolphins. So they come in with a mark of 2 wins and no losses. Tony Romo has been very, very good. And so far, a seamless transition after 4 years of Bill Parcells. Wade Phillips off to a very good start in his first year as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And, John, I know it's very, very early. The Super Bowl months away. But if Dallas comes in and knocks off the defending champions in their ballpark tonight, would you see them number 1 in the NFC at this point?
Yeah, and as you say, it's just the 3rd game, and I think you would maybe start to think that way, but to me, Dallas has great offense. I really like Tony Romo, their running game, their offensive line, Terrell Owens outside, Jason Witten at tight end, but they're not a championship defense yet. They give up too many big plays. Remember 2 weeks ago against the Giants scored 35 against them. So until their defense improves, and it could start tonight because they get Terrence Newman back, and a part-time job. But I think until their defense gets better, you can't really say that they're the best.
Now the Bears do have a championship defense. They're 1-1, lose to San Diego, knock off Kansas City. They've given up only 24 points in those 2 games. But every time we come to Chicago, it's been the case now for almost a full calendar year. In the crosshairs is the quarterback, Rex Grossman. What do you think of Grossman? How much longer do you think he'll be the Chicago starting quarterback?
Well, you know, it's the good Rex, bad Rex, and it's kind of been bad Rex this year, and they're waiting for the good Rex. And I think that, you know, the dilemma that the Bears are in is, if it's not Rex, then what are you going to do? I mean, you can go to Brian Griese, but that's just a Band-Aid. You know, then you have to start all over with your quarterback. The Bears do not want to do that. But I'll tell you this, if Grossman doesn't have a good game tonight, or if he has a bad game tonight, I think they're going to start in that direction.
Yeah, they're going to try to avoid throwing out the quarterback with the bathwater. Well, one great matchup tonight we know is that great Bear D against the potent Dallas offense on Sunday Night Football. Speaking of returns, we're going to see the best return man in the NFL right now. I'm not sure we'll see him necessarily with the football, because Devin Hester, who ran back 6 kicks for touchdowns last season and one already this season, the punt return. And the question will be, will Nick Folk kick it to him? Probably not. It was suggested to us last night, John, he's going to kick it to one of the up men, maybe at about the 25-yard line.
You're right. Wade Phillips says there's no way that they're going to kick it to Devin Hester.
And he was correct. And that kick will bounce at the 26 and then go out of bounds. But you can credit that to Hester. By kicking away from Hester, what that means is Chicago gets the ball with great field position at the 40-yard line thanks to that man. You
know, that always happens. Anytime you say you're going to kick away from someone, sometimes you have to live with those things that you kick away. Sure, you did, but in doing so, they get the ball in the 40-yard line.
If you're a guy like Hester, I mean, that's the equivalent if he takes it at the 5 and runs it back to the 40-yard line. It's a 35-yard run back. You have Jacques Reeves, who will start at the cornerback spot tonight, bottom of the screen, and he will move with Muhsin Mohammed, the man in motion. Grossman starts by handing the ball off to Cedric Benson, 4th pick in the draft 3 years ago. And let's take a look at the Chicago offense.
Rex Grossman, Florida Gators. Cedric Benson, University of Texas.
Jason McKee, Temple.
Muhsin Mohammed, Michigan State University.
Bernard Berrien, the one and only Fresno State.
Desmond Clark, Wake Forest University.
John Tate, Brigham Young University.
Ruben Brown, Pitt.
Olin Cruz, University of Washington.
Roberto Garza, Texas A&M Kingsville.
Fred Miller, Baylor University.
Cruz, a 6-time Pro Bowler, and through the middle goes Benson for a first down to the 42. Last year, he played, in effect, behind Thomas Jones. Jones sent to the Jets, had a good day today. Benson is now the man here in Chicago. 12-yard gain.
And he does a great job of running here. And sometimes the back has to have some patience. You see there, he has to wait and wait for something to develop. He sees it to the right, and then he slides to the right and finds that crease or gap right there.
18 yards, 2 carries, the first 2 plays of the game. Now Grossman will throw for the first time tonight. To the sideline he goes. The pass is right on the money, but it is dropped. It is incomplete. Bernard Berrien, as he tried to haul it in, was hit by Jacques Reeves. Incomplete. It'll be 2nd down.
You know, in talking to both Rex Grossman and Ron Turner, the offensive coordinator, they thought that that's where some of their big plays could come from is passing on first down. You know, throwing on running downs, get some play action pass. That is better than getting into those 3rd down nickel situations where they can get a lot of blitz, because the Bears have not been good against the blitz this year.
Now Adrian Peterson is the backup back to the 40-yard line. 1 touchdown in 25 drives for Chicago going against this Dallas defense.
Marcus Spears, Louisiana State. Jay Ratliff, Auburn. Chris Canty, Wahoo Wah.
Anthony Spencer, Purdue. Brady James, LSU.
Aiken Adele, Purdue.
Marcus Ware,
Detroit. Jock Reeves, Boilermaker. Roy Williams, Oklahoma. Ken Hamlin, Arkansas. Anthony Henry, South Florida.
Wahoo, a.k.a. University of Virginia. Boilermaker, Purdue.
We're talking about Terrence Newman, Alan. This is his first time that he's been in this season.
And Grossman gets hit as he throws, and it's a wobbly pass that is incomplete. So Rex got hit. Stephen Bowen, who backs up Chris Canty at one of the defensive end spots, is the guy who comes in, second-year guy out of Hofstra, and creates a 4th down and 8.
You know what they do to Rex Grossman is they spot rush him because he's not a scrambler, and he doesn't move around in the pocket, and he doesn't get outside the pocket. So they know the spot where he's going to be, and they just rush to that point, and that's exactly what Stephen Bowen did on that play.
Maynard is back to punt. Maynard last week had to miss the game because of a groin pull, but he came along in practice this week, and he'll send it in the direction of Creighton. Good rush was put on, and that kick will go into the end zone and give the Dallas Cowboys and Tony Romo their first opportunity at the 20-yard line. 2 minutes and 6 seconds into the game in Chicago. Part of National Hispanic Heritage Month. The NFL celebrating it. Thus it's Vaqueros against the Osos. The Vaqueros have it at the 20-yard line for the first time tonight. The Cowboys on 1st and 10, and Tony Romo will go to the air. Slips out of the pocket, but not that far enough. Mark Anderson, who had a tremendous rookie year, came out of nowhere with a dozen sacks as a rookie, and now a starter sacks Romo.
You know, and that's the thing that Tony Romo does so well. He has great speed, and he moves well in the pocket, but this Bear defense moves great, and they have good speed. And you'll see Mark Anderson there. He can get inside. Tony Romo tries to get outside of him, but he can turn, react, and quickly get back to Tony Romo. So this is going to be the challenge for Romo, is the speed of this Bear defense.
Went right by Flozell Adams on 2nd and 21 now. On the ground, this is Julius Jones, hit by Adam Archuleta, formerly with St. Louis and Washington, now coming over to Chicago and creating a 3rd and long. Now the Cowboys with 41 points a game, 45 against the Giants, and then 37 more last week, and 415 yards a game coming into this one.
You see, that was a running down there, and the Bears played their 8-man front. They brought Adam Archuleta out. You know, you always think that the Bears are cover 2 team, but they're not on 1st and 2nd down. Now, when you get to 3rd down, they will play that Tampa 2 in this situation.
Owens wide left. Tillman one-on-one with him for the moment. 3rd down and 19. Bears moving around. Romo throws over the middle. Romo to Owens, but he's going to be stopped short of the 1st down. So Terrell found the open spot. Tillman was right with him all the way, makes the tackle, and stops him about 2 yards shy of the 1st.
You know, one of the things the Bears are going to do is they're going to put number 33, Charles Tillman, on Terrell Owens the whole time. Tillman is a very physical guy, and they want him to play him tight and bang Terrell Owens around a little. That time with 3rd and long, there was no reason to play him tight.
Well, they didn't kick to Hester on the kickoff. Now what do they do with him on a punt return?
This is a tough situation here because you're backed up, and you darn near have to punt it to him here. Now you can directional punt it between the numbers and the sidelines, but you better be careful.
Matt McBriar, the Australian kicker, sends it down to the 23-yard line, and Hester this time has no place to go. Good coverage that time by the Cowboy punt coverage unit. 10:37 remaining. First quarter, no score in Chicago. For a Bears quarterback in over a decade, Eric Kramer had 20 starts, the 20th of which came in 1996. Now Rex at the 24-yard line. Throws, and that's caught, and this is Berrien picking up a 1st down, tackled by Reeves. You know, John, you talked about the good Rex and the bad Rex. They talk about that here a lot. And also occasionally you'll see his name written in the paper as W-R-E-C-K-S, Grossman.
Right, and the problem with him is he just can't get in a rhythm, you know, and I think it's one of those things. What comes first? Do you play well and then get confidence, or do you have confidence and you go out and play well? Rex Grossman right now doesn't have an awful lot of confidence.
They have Hester in the game, and they use him as a decoy there as Cedric Benson goes up the middle. Hester, a great return man, and they also now are going to try to work him in from time to time offensively at wideout.
Yeah, Lovie Smith was telling us the other day that his sons know. You know, every time he'd put Devin Hester in, it would be a play for Devin Hester, and then the defense would just jump on him. So he said this week he wants to start, you know, playing him as a decoy and putting in places where he doesn't always get the ball.
Hard to sneak him into the game. 2nd down and 9. Benson again, and Benson up to the 36-yard line. You know, with Grossman, and we talk about quarterback ratings a lot, and there's a lot that goes into it, obviously. But if you rate over 100, that's very good. You've had a very good game. It's as simple as that. If you rate, look at the last 2 parts of that graphic at the bottom. A 1 to 40 rating, which is terrible, 4 times last year. A 0 rating, which is god-awful with 8 exclamation points. He had one of those games last year.
Right, and I think we did that one. Wasn't that the Green Bay game?
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we experienced that one.
3rd and 8. And Grossman throws, and that pass is right there and caught by Berrien. So there is the good Rex with a good arm, threads the needle. Berrien makes the catch along the sideline. 1st down. Got position on Anthony Henry, and that's a 17-yard gain.
Anthony Henry gave him a lot of room out there, because I know one thing. You look at Anthony Henry back here, you look at that space that he's given up right there for the out, and then you push him deep. They are worried about Bernard Berrien beating them deep. So that's what happened. You know, you tell a guy, don't get beat deep, watch out for Berrien deep. And then, you know, he just forces like he's going up, and then he cuts it off in an out pattern.
In Dallas territory now. Play fake, buys time, passes low. And after we saw the good Rex, there's the other Rex with Muhsin Muhammad, who's only caught 2 passes in the first 2 games. Moose has been a top-notch receiver for Carolina and Chicago for a decade now. That pass incomplete.
And he said that he wanted to get Muhsin Muhammad involved in the game early. One thing I've noticed here is their pass protection is a lot better. Last week against Kansas City, you can say, you know, bad Rex, and Rex didn't do this and he didn't do that. He didn't, but he didn't have very good pass protection.
Line has to play better, and you've got movement up front here. Fred Miller and Marcus Spears. Ron Winter is the referee. First flag of the night.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 96 moving into the old neutral zone. Calls the offense to false start. A 5-yard penalty. It remains 2nd down.
Marcus Spears comes across, and that means it's 2nd down and 5 at the 42-yard line. Wade Phillips has been the head coach at Denver and Buffalo, and an interim head coach at New Orleans, where he succeeded his dad about 20 years ago, and in Atlanta, where he succeeded Dan Reeves about 5 years ago. Benson will chug to the 41-yard line. It will be 3rd down and 4. And John, they had to make a choice. Thomas Jones had done a good job for them, wanted to renegotiate his contract. They weren't sure about Benson, at least the fans weren't sure, figuring a guy who was picked 4th should be better. But now they've handed the ball to Benson and said, you are the guy.
You know, that's what I always thought. If a guy was drafted that high in the 1st round, why didn't he play more? And I guess early he was having trouble with the passing game, not only, you know, running pass routes and pass patterns, but also in pass protection. And if you can't pass protect, it's tough to play a lot.
3rd down and 4, and that pass is caught, and that's Berrien making the catch, and thinks that he wasn't down by contact, but he was at the 33, and that'll be enough for a 1st down tackle by Anthony Henry. Moves the chains.
Yeah, we saw when Anthony Henry was off, we saw Berrien beat him on the out. Now we see Anthony Henry up here, and he's going to beat him on the slant. He just makes a few moves there, gets to his inside. Grossman reads it perfectly and hits him in the first window. But again, good pass protection by the Bears. That is big.
Hester's in the game. He's in motion. Berrien's caught all 3 of Grossman's completions. And out of the outside goes Benson for a nice game. Thrown out at the 26, and that provokes a flag. Jacques Reeves got a hand maybe on the face mask, and that should tack on some yardage.
You know what they're doing with Devin Hester is what the Saints do with Reggie Bush. You know, you get him coming on that end around. You can either hand it to him or fake it to him. That holds the backside.
Defense number 31. Penalty results in a 1st down.
garden variety face mask, 5 yards.
Now just watch as Devin Hester comes around, how it holds this backside back here so that you can get the run to that side. I mean, Hester really affects the football game in a lot more ways than you can imagine.
Winter called it on 31. The call was on 35. Jacques Reeves. Hester stays in. Quick count. 21-yard line. Benson to the outside, but going nowhere this time. Staying right with him. The emerging star, DeMarcus Ware, third year out of Troy, who really figures to be a big star, especially in Wade Phillips' version of the 3-4.
And I think he needs another strong rusher on the other side. You know, Anthony Spencer is a rookie, could be that guy, but the guy that they're really counting on is Greg Ellis, and they're not sure when they're going to get him. But, you know, they can slide everything. They can double him. They can run away from DeMarcus Ware because they really don't have that strong guy on the other side yet.
Ellis coming off Achilles surgery. Second down and 11. And that pass is caught over the middle. And this is Greg Olsen. He was their #1 draft choice. He's playing in his first game as a Bear. He's had a knee injury. The ball got loose for a second, but he covers up, and they have very high hopes. He's a Miami tight end. And when you talk about Miami tight ends, you think about people like Kellen Winslow and Jeremy Shockey. And here's the next guy of that breed.
You know, and he's a receiving tight end, too. I mean, he's not going to be the blocking, prototypical type defensive or tight end. He's going to be the slot wide receiver type of a guy. And on that last play, he was in the slot.
3rd and 4 now. Grossman to the outside, right on the money. And Musa Mohammed gets saluted by the crowd. He makes his first catch of the night and his 3rd catch of the season. He's tackled by Reeves, and this drive, which is now approaching the 6-minute mark, has a 1st and goal here.
You know, they have a good deal going here, the Bears do, because these corners don't know what to do. I mean, if they come up and play tight, then they get inside and run slants and crosses. If they play off like Jacques Reeves is there, then they just throw the ball in front of them. That's what I was saying earlier about this Dallas team. It's a good team, but I think that the defense isn't ready to be a championship defense yet.
1st and goal, double tight end set. They use the fullback McKee. They give it to Benson. He'll cut it back and take it to about the 2.5-yard line. Desmond Clark led the way. This drive over 6 minutes. Good mixture here. They've had 6 rushes and 6 passes.
Yeah, it's great mixture. I was just thinking of that. You know, that when Ron Turner was talking the other day, he said, you know, we have to get some passing game going that'll help our running. And usually, you know, offensive coordinators talk the opposite. You know, say we got to get the running game going, and that'll open our passing. But I think he's doing a good job of that, getting some passing going, and that loosens up your running game.
John St. Clair, an eligible receiver, caught a touchdown pass last week. The tackle, but this time they go to Benson for no gain. So it'll be 3rd down and goal as we tick down under 4 minutes to play. In a scoreless opening first quarter, Lovie Smith, new contract in hand, led the team to the Super Bowl, 4th year as the Bears head coach.
And he's from Texas, and he's a big Cowboy fan, or he was a big Cowboy fan growing up. He was a big fan of Roger Staubach, and he said he met Roger this off-season, and he was so happy to meet him. His hero, Roger Staubach, and Roger asked Lovie for his autograph. He thought something's wrong with this deal.
3rd down and goal.
Cowboys are in 6 defensive backs.
Grossman on a roll, looking, and then he has to throw it out of the end zone, so the coverage was good. The pass was intended for Musa Muhammad running over a cameraman at the end of the play. Cowboys gave him no opening that time, and so 4th down and goal, and a long drive will end with a field goal attempt.
Yeah, there was 6 defensive backs by the Cowboys, and there was no one open there, so Rex Grossman was starting on a rollout or sprint out to this side, and he made a smart move there. So there's nothing there. 3rd down, don't force it, throw it away, and then try the field goal.
Field goal from extra point distance. 20-yard attempt for Robbie, who is good as gold. Maynard with a hold. And so the Bears had the ball for half the quarter. 7:26 on the drive. Chicago on top at home, 3-0 over the Cowboys. Philadelphia routing Detroit. I guess McNabb's knee was really killing him today. He only threw for 381 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dallas right now 2-0. Washington losing. The Giants coming from behind. So a lot tighter than it was this morning. A bouncing kick, and that one will go out of bounds. And Dallas doesn't even have Devin Hester running back kicks. I don't know what that was all about.
First down.
And that will give Dallas the ball at the 40 when we come back to Soldier Field.
If you want it, here it is. Come and get it. Make your mind up fast.
Well, tomorrow it's here. Heroes kicking off a new season with new stories. Don't miss the Hero season premiere tomorrow night. 9 Eastern and Pacific, 8 Central and Mountain here on NBC. Kickoff went out of bounds. Tony Romo takes over at the 40-yard line against this 4-man Chicago front. And he gives the ball to Jones. That's a gain of 8. Let's take a look at the Dallas starters.
Tony Romo, Eastern Illinois.
Julius Jones, Notre Dame.
Terrell Owens, Tennessee Chattanooga.
Patrick Creighton, Northwestern Oklahoma State. Jason Witten, Tennessee.
Anthony Fasano, Notre Dame.
Lozo Adams, Michigan State.
Kyle Kozar, Arizona State.
Andre Gerard, Colorado.
Leonard Davis, Texas. Mike Colombo, Boston College.
With a flag here after a quick Dallas huddle.
False start. Offense number 81. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
Crowd loves that because that's on Owens.
And they tried to just run out and and spread the Bear defense out. The Bear defense is in nickel, and they played that on first down also. And their spread, they call this, the Cowboys call this empty.
2nd and 8. Now you have movement again on the left side, and that's.
Who do you think it's on?
It's hard to miss Flozell Adams.
It's always on Flozell Adams.
Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
We've been watching him do that and some other good things, obviously, for 10 years.
Yeah, he does mostly good things, but Flozell Adams has to lead the world in that. And again, the whole thing is being able to get off in the snap count, get your set before the defensive guy goes. And again, he's playing against Mark Anderson over there, who is a very, very good speed rusher. This guy right here. Look at him. He's trying to get the crowd involved so that Flozell will jump again.
On 2nd and 13 now. And Jones goes nowhere. 35. Let's take a look at the Chicago defense.
Adewale Ogunleye, Tonville High School.
Tommy Harris, the University of Oklahoma.
Darwin Walker, University of Tennessee.
Mark Anderson, Alabama Crimson Tide.
Hunter Hillenmeyer, Vanderbilt.
Brian Urlacher, University of New Mexico.
Lance Briggs, University of Arizona.
Charles Tillman, the University of Louisiana.
Adam Archuleta, Arizona State.
Danielle Manning, Abilene Christian.
Nathan Vasher, the University of Texas.
3rd and 15. Dallas has had a lot of success converting on 3rd and long in its first 2 games. Will they do so here? No, they can't. It's tipped and intercepted. Adam Archuleta intercepts after Patrick Creighton, playing with a broken pinky that he incurred last week at Miami, couldn't hold on.
I was watching Patrick Creighton in the pregame warm-up, and he dropped a lot of balls like that.
Talking about Patrick Creighton, that broken pinky last week, has it wrapped. There it is. Shot it before the game like that. We took that picture before the game. Has a glove over it, but had that pass deflect off his hands to the Bears for the pick, and now Grossman tries to cash in by beginning this drive with a pass to Berrien, his new favorite target, covered and knocked out of bounds by Reeves after a gain of 13.
We talked about 2 weeks ago the Giants scored 35 points against the Cowboys, and the Bears are doing a lot of the same thing. I mean, those corners are playing off, and if they play off like that, you can throw hooks, you can throw ins, and you can throw outs on them all night. Now they're coming up to press, and then you can throw the deeper pattern.
From the 35-yard line on first down. 3-yard gain here for Cedric Benson. Here's the Cowboy defense. as we take a look at the Cowboy defense and what they've done so far. You know, John, a lot was made of the fact, you know, Bill Parcells ran a 3-4 and Wade Phillips runs a 3-4, but there are some variances here.
Well, yeah, Bill Parcells was what they called a two-gap, where you had your defensive linemen were all big and they all played like tackles, and they had the gaps on either side of them. The inside linebackers had those gaps. Wade Phillips is a one-gap guy, more penetration, more stunning, and more blitzing.
First quarter is over. Chicago 3, Dallas nothing. Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. And we come back to Chicago. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Andrea Kramer. 3-0 Chicago. Bears trying to cash in off a turnover. It's 2nd down and 6 here. Grossman throwing, and that one is picked off. So he gives it right back. Anthony Henry. And Henry will run it all the way back out to the 35-yard line on the pass intended for Muhsin Muhammad. So Henry, who had 2 interceptions last week, and the Cowboys had 4 in Miami, picks off Grossman, and Dallas gets the ball right back.
You're right, and it's Muhsin Muhammad who's running in the end. And what Grossman is doing, he's trying to lead him. You see, here he starts in the end. He's leading him to the inside, but it looked like Muhammad stopped. He didn't keep coming across. Had he kept coming across, I think this could have been a completion. You see, Grossman is leading him in. Muhammad doesn't come in, but Henry does come in and pick it off.
Agreed. Put it where he should. He was inside of him, and he just stopped. So Henry gets the interception. Marion Barber is now in the game. So Jones plays a couple of series, and now, per usual, here is Barber, who scored 16 touchdowns last year, and he runs right into number 92, who is Hunter Hillenmeyer, who doesn't get a lot of acclaim because when you play on a linebacker core that has Brian Urlacher, who everybody knows, and Lance Briggs, who a lot of people know, it's easy to get lost.
Right, and then you have up front, you have Tommy Harris, who everyone knows, who can be, when he's completely healthy, the best and most dominant defensive lineman in the NFL. So by the time you get to Hillenmeyer, you have to go through about 5 or 6 guys.
Look at this. You've got Owens lined up as a tailback just for the moment. He's going to go in motion. Operates now out of the slot. Romo looked that way, then dumps it off for Jones, and Jones is able to slip a tackle in the backfield. A flag goes down, so he turns a loss into what might be a pretty good gain as he broke a tackle, broke out of an Urlacher tackle, but a flag was thrown back at the 34-yard line.
And that's something that's hard to do against this Bear defense because they have so much speed, is to throw screen passes on them, especially before you've established that you can go
illegal
deep.
Block in the back. 82 offense. A 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
That's on Jason Witten.
There he is right there. Oh, that's not that bad.
No.
I mean, he comes up from behind, but he had his head in front. Jason Witten got fined for a block last week. He had a crackback block that he was fined, I think, $5,000 for.
He was.
You know, that did that look that bad to you?
No, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, his head was in front. I mean, he came up and, you know, blocked him from behind, but he got his head in front.
Happened on the other side of the field from where the Cowboy bench is, so it's not as if the coaches can then begin to get on the officials for a bad call.
Yeah, and you can't get on Jason Witten. I mean, those are the things that you, as a coach, you spend your life teaching at. You know, hustle, get downfield, get out in front, you know, pick off a guy. I don't know, his head is in front.
Right.
That's not hitting in the back. It's not a clip. I'm not sure exactly what it was they called.
Bad angle for the official. 2nd and 20. Barber is the running back. Marion takes it, goes nowhere. This is Lance Briggs. You know, Chicago used to seeing good backs. I mean, they've seen probably the 2 best over the last 2 weeks. They met LaDainian Tomlinson in week 1 and held him to 1.5 yards a carry, and then followed that up by seeing Larry Johnson of Kansas City, 3.4. So over the first 2 games, the Bears' lowest yards per carry for the opponents since 1942, and against the 2 best.
Right, and they play that 8-man up on running downs like they did on that last one, and their front 4 dominates.
3rd and 21. Romo steps up, hits Creighton underneath. And Creighton gets up to the 34-yard line. Needed 21 and got about 10. Tackle is made by Ricky Manning Jr. So Dallas unable to get anything going offensively tonight. They've had the ball for only 6 minutes, and Chicago's had it for over 11.
Watch Tony Romo. You know, the Bears think that they can get some strips. You see how he holds it out here? They're gonna try and get in behind him and strip that ball, because he does hold it out. He does hold it down, and as his coordinator says, Jason Garrett says, he flails it around in the pocket. And if he flails it, these guys will go after it.
All right, Hester is back there, and the kick is almost blocked. And Hester's going to have some room, but then he muffs it at the 24-yard line and can't go anywhere. Mark Bradley, a wide receiver, came in and somehow missed it. He almost blocked it. He might have even deflected it. And then Hester had no chance to run it back after the muff. Grazed it. 3-0 Chicago. Krutz, the Pro Bowler, 6-time Pro Bowler, talking about Grossman. Rex is 6 out of 11 for 66 yards, 1 pick. He has it now at the 23-yard line and hands the ball off to Benson, trying to get outside and nowhere to go. That's Anthony Spencer, #1 draft choice out of Purdue, a rookie, and he's getting force-fed into action immediately as a starter because of the injury to Greg Ellis.
You know, and that's what they need on that other side. And we talk about, you know, DeMarcus Ware and the strength on one end, and then so they want to stay away from him. So then that means they have to go to Anthony Spencer's side, and then Spencer has to make the plays like he just did.
2nd down and 14. Muhammad in motion. Benson probes the middle. 24-yard line.
You know, I was glad to hear Olin Krutz say that, you know, that it wasn't all Grossman. You know, sometimes we tend to give the quarterback too much credit and way too much blame. And I felt against Kansas City last week that this offensive line of the Bears was not very good at all. And they did not give Rex Grossman much protection. Now, tonight, so far, it's a totally different story.
Good protection for him. Meanwhile, Benson's running for only 3 yards per carry. He's carried the ball a dozen times already. Grossman to throw. A little bit of pressure this time. And that pass is incomplete. Reaching up for it was Rasheed Davis, but he's covered by Terrence Newman coming in and playing in the nickel situation here. And it's 4th down and 8.
Yeah, and that's what that Cowboy defense needs, is they need Terrence Newman back. And you know, because he's not only their best corner, but he's also their nickel corner. And when he's healthy, he's their punt return. So when Terrence Newman is out, the Cowboys kind of lose 3 guys.
Maynard to punt. Patrick Creighton, broken pinky notwithstanding. Back to run the punt back. Signals for the fair catch. And makes it at the 31-yard line. What a weekend it's been in Chicago. Everybody's kind of town.
Chicago, that title in town.
Undrafted out of Eastern Illinois in Charleston, Illinois. Both Romo and Grossman are 27. Little difference though in pedigree. Grossman a #1 draft choice out of Florida. And Tony not only undrafted but just sat on the bench for 3 years. Back to pass is Romo. Over the middle. Getting open is the tight end, Witten. Normally he loves to get Witten in the middle of the field. Witten that time went down the middle of the field, worked his way to the outside. Big gainer there for a 1st down, 34 yards.
Now you watch Witten. He's going to come in motion here across the field. Then he comes up and goes back across the other way. And talking to Tony Romo last night about Jason Witten, he said he's so big that he said even if I'm looking right or I'm looking left, I'll see Jason Witten in the middle. And he said that's a real plus for him, having that big guy always in the middle for him.
From the 35, Romo will go to the air again, this time to the outside, and that is caught at the 25-yard line by Terrell Owens. So Owens with a touchdown last week with a couple in the opener. has now caught 2 tonight for a total of 28 yards, and that's a first down.
Now you feel that Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator, said, okay, that's enough of that run. Let's just come out and start passing on first and second down, and let's go to our best guy. And when you do that, that's Terrell Owens. Again, Charles Tillman out there. Wherever Terrell Owens goes, Charles Tillman goes.
To the air a third straight time, and that is Owens this time. The pass is incomplete, and there's a flag at the end of the play as the pass was knocked away by Charles Tillman. Good coverage.
You know, Tillman is a guy that is always looking for the
Pass
strip.
interference. Offense number 81. A 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Terrell Owens can't believe that it's on him.
Second penalty on him tonight.
We just circled. He's going to be outside there on Tillman. I don't know. You have to let him do that.
What was that?
I don't know. You know, Charles Tillman. I was saying, is always going after the strip. He's a tough guy, a good cover guy. In fact, Bobby Smith said he's his strip coach on the field. And he's always reminding the guy, go for the strip, go for this. He is a tough guy and a big-time competitor.
First and 20 back at the 35. Urlacher creeping up, and he's going to blitz. That doesn't happen that often. And then Witten gets free again to the outside. And finally taken down by Archuleta after he was trailed by Briggs.
Yeah, we talk about, the things that Terrell Owens does. He was on the short cross. Everyone is going to come up. Now watch, Urlacher is going to blitz. Gerard picks him up there, gives a good pocket for Tony Romo. You see the short cross. That was Terrell Owens. They come up on him, and Witten gets in behind him.
That was a first and 20, and it got 22 yards. Witten's caught 2 balls for 56 on this drive. Cowboys have started slowly in each of their first 2 games and then come on, and that's the pattern right now. From the 12-yard line, Romo will throw that one off the hand of Witten at the back of the end zone. Dallas did not score a touchdown in either of its first 2 games, yet 45 points against the Giants, 37 against Miami in the first quarter of either of those games.
I think they came out early and they were trying to establish a run, and you're not going to run against this Bear defense. And then they tried to screen, and they've already had 5 penalties and so on. Now they have 6 penalties, but now it looks like Jason Garrett says the heck with that. We have a good pass protecting offensive line. Let's just go and throw the ball against these guys. Not a bad idea.
Barber is the running back. Owens wide to the right. And that pass intended for Fasano, the other tight end who backs up Jason Witten and plays in these sets coming out of the slot. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
They were talking to Brian Urlacher the other day, and he said he talked to Zach Thomas, who played against Tony Romo last week, and he said, watch out. He's really quick and he's really fast. He's a lot quicker and faster than he looks on film. He said, so always be aware of that with him. And I said, well, what else did he say? And he said, well, he didn't remember a lot because Zach Thomas had a concussion on the first play of the game.
No wonder Romo looks so fast. 3rd down and 10. Romo throws, and that pass is incomplete. Creighton wants a flag, doesn't get it. Coverage is good. So a good start to this drive, backed up by a penalty, converted on a 1st and 20, but then bogged down here, and will have to settle for a game-tying field goal attempt.
I was talking about Charles Tillman and being a physical guy, and you see him on Patrick Creighton here. I mean, he is not going to let him get in there on that slant anyway.
The rookie kicker is Nick Folk, drafted out of the University of Arizona in the 6th round. Remember last year they had Mike Vanderjagt and Gramatica. Folk won the job in training camp. This is a 30-yard attempt. Brad Johnson did the holding, and the kick is good. So with 8:49 to go in the opening half, Dallas 3, Chicago 3. Hey, if you're sick of us, you can hit the SAP button, and over there you've got Telemundo. You've got Rene Geraldo on the left, Edgar Lopez on the right. These guys do the game every week, normally off a monitor, but here they are because the Dallas Cowboys are in town in Chicago to meet the Bears, the Vaqueros against the Osos. Devin Hester back to receive the kick. Will he bring it back? He's 4 yards in the end zone. Here he comes. And the Cowboys with good coverage that time. So they do kick it to him. 4 yards into the end zone, 18-yard run back. Carpenter makes the tackle there. Grossman and company back to work, 8:43. What a night in Chicago. Look at that sight. Bionic Wednesday on NBC. The new series a lot of folks are talking about. You'll see it Wednesday night right here on NBC. Chicago from the 18-yard line. This is Benson swinging to the outside and picking up about 6 yards. Jock Reeves makes the tackle. Penalty. 6 penalties to 40 yards against Dallas. No penalties against Chicago to this point.
Holding. Offense number 88.
Until now.
Penalize half the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
Desmond Park. Lovie Smith telling us the other day his mom, May, 73 years old, had never been on an airplane until this weekend. And she has flown in for the game. And this is a 3-yard pickup through the middle. John, you can relate to that. You haven't been on a plane since 78 or 79, right?
Right. It was 1979. It was the Sunday after Thanksgiving. 1979 was the last time I was on an airplane. Lovey was telling us a story about his mother never being on an airplane. I mean, she had come to his games before and come up here to Chicago from Texas, but had always driven. And this was the first time in her life that she ever flew on an airplane. I said, I can understand your mother.
Second down and 16, and Grossman gets sacked back at the 4-yard line. And we talked about the emerging star in DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware comes around the corner, and Chicago now will operate from its own 4.
Remember, I was talking about a spot rush, and you know that right here is going to be the spot, and you just rush to that spot and you're going to find Rex Grossman. You see, because he's not a scrambling guy. In fact, he just runs into this sack right here. But, he can't get out of the way. So he almost, to play, Rex Grossman almost has to have perfect pass protection.
First sack of the season for him. Ran around John Tate. Here's Adrian Peterson. Not to be confused with the rookie Adrian Peterson for the Minnesota Vikings. This Adrian's been around for 5 seasons. Crowd hates the call. But then again, when you're pinned deep in your own territory on 3rd and 20 plus, the risk-reward ratio is not really good.
Yeah, I mean they're not real good at 3rd and 8, so they don't have a lot of plays for 3rd and 20, so they just run the ball and then punt it. But again, that was a pass protection breakdown, and Rex Grossman not being nimble in the pocket.
Brad Maynard missed last week's game with a groin pull. Bounces this one at the 45-yard line. Creighton then fields it at the 48 and returns it to the 45-yard line with 6.5 remaining in the half. Tony Romo, 3.5 years on the bench, but in his first 12 starts, you go back to 1950, Kurt Warner is the only guy in the league since that point where he's thrown for more yardage than Romo. This year, 18.3 yards per completion. And that's the highest over the first 2 games of the season since Mark Rippon of the Skins back in '89. So a good start for Romo, who got off to a really good start when he took over for Bledsoe last year, earned his way into the Pro Bowl, sort of faded at the end, and then of course had the botched hold in the playoff game against Seattle. People thought, well, maybe he'd have a little bit of a hangover. The league would catch on to him. But so far, so good for him, at least this season. From the 46-yard line, Romo under pressure, is able to escape at first, but here comes Urlacher to clean up. That's like a guy picking up a slop goal after somebody, and it was somebody in the form of Lance Briggs and Mark Anderson, create the sack, and Urlacher is there to finish up the meal.
And that's what speed on defense does to you, because Tony Romo has very quick feet. He's very good in the pocket. He gets that push up the middle. Urlacher was just waiting. He's the second guy. He's green dogging. He's waiting. He's kind of spying Tony Romo. And then when he sees him move in the pocket, he comes right up and gets him. but they have so much speed. I mean, not only their ends, their defensive tackles, their linebackers, this defense has speed all over.
2nd and 18. And Romo throws, and that's out of bounds. Funny thing about Urlacher, you think about him as a linebacker, doesn't blitz all that much. In fact, Urlacher won 28 games. That's almost 2 full seasons without a sack. Then he had one last week, and now he has one tonight.
And, you know, because he's so good in pass coverage. I mean, he's one of the best middle linebackers in a lot of areas, but pass coverage being one of them. So when you get 3rd and long like this, you don't want to blitz Brian Urlacher, because this is where they use that Tampa 2, and he runs deep and ends up in like a safety position. Watch how deep Brian Urlacher will get on this play, in his alignment and in the play. He's right here right now.
Already lined up 8 yards back of the line of scrimmage. A little screen is set up here for Jones, and Jones turning it into a nice gain, taking it to the 40-yard line. He won't pick up the first down. Alex Brown makes the tackle, but he goes from 3rd and very long to 4th and about 3.
Tony Romo's saying, let's go for it. And I think that he's getting a little frustrated now. I mean, he thought that he got in a rhythm on that last drive, and then he was trying to get that rhythm back, and he couldn't get started. You know, and usually when a quarterback or an offensive coordinator says we didn't get any rhythm, it usually goes with we didn't get enough first downs.
Hester back, and a whistle before the snap. So Hester takes a look at what McBriar would have done. Timeout had been called.
They're first.
Bounce that one at the 10. Timeout. Darwin Walker didn't get off the field for Chicago in time. So Chicago had to take a timeout. Now at least Dallas will line up to go for it on 4th and 3. I'd be surprised if they go for it. I mean, I think they'll just try to draw Chicago offside. This is very risky.
Yeah, before they decided to punt, you know, Tony Romo looked like he wanted to go for it, and maybe he talked them into letting him go for it.
So they line up in the shotgun. They send Owens in motion, and they will go for it on 4th and 3. And Romo's throw is caught by Owens. So a big gamble, and it pays off at the 28-yard line. If you don't make it, of course, you give Chicago the ball near midfield. Wade Phillips nods approvingly. Big gamble, and that came about because Darwin Walker couldn't get off the field, and Chicago had to take a timeout.
Right, and you see Terrell Owens, he starts off in the backfield, and then that's the big thing that they want to do is move him around. He ends up in the slot, comes on and in. Tony Romo kind of watching him the whole way. But Tony Romo knew he had that play. You know, when you tell a coach, hey, let me go for 4th down, I'll guarantee you a first down, you better do it.
28-yard line, Romo throws, and that's caught by Witten, and Witten's going to pick up the first down. He's going to drag Hillenmeyer with him for another 5 yards all the way down to the 12-yard line.
Yeah, you could just tell that Tony Romo didn't want to come out, and he went over there and he did some politicking, you know, because he was just getting a feeling and he wanted to keep it. Here they have good pass protection. If you give Tony Romo that kind of pass protection, he could look at his first guy, his second guy, and eventually, like on this play to Witten, his 3rd guy.
Cowboys have not run the ball once on either of their last 2 drives. From the 11-yard line, out of the shotgun here. And this time they'll run it with an inside handoff to Jones, and he gets tackled by Ricky Manning Jr. as he falls forward to the 9-yard line, setting up a 2nd down and 8.
You know, that's why you have to like Tony Romo. I mean, that gunslinger mentality. And we talked to him about, you know, who was your guy, and Brett Favre was kind of his guy. John Elway was the other one that he talks about. And, you know, you can see a lot of Brett Favre in it, you know, and that whole thing of, you know, let me go for it on 4th down. You know, I mean, I know I can get it. I got a rhythm going. I have something going. I'm going to do it here.
You need a coach who's running shotgun with you, too.
Right, and I think Wade Phillips is that guy, and so is Jason Garrett.
On 2nd and 8, that pass is low but caught. Pisano makes the catch and stays in bounds at the 6-yard line. And it will be 3rd down and 4.
This is where he usually looks for Jason Witten down here again, you know, in the middle there, the bigger target, and anytime you need a play, I would also look for Terrell Owens. I think those are probably the 2 things he's thinking right now is Terrell Owens or Jason Witten.
Owens wide to the left. He has Sam Hurd wide right. He has Creighton in the slot to the right. He looks right. He goes right. And it's dropped. A sure touchdown dropped by Patrick Creighton. Creighton coming out of the slot. Had one deflect off his hands. And again, with that bringing it up again and again, it comes into play here. Broken pinky last week.
Yeah, you see him. He's in the slot, and he just gets over the goal line. The ball is thrown perfectly. It's in his hands. I mean, if anything, maybe he takes his eyes off. No, he doesn't even do that. And last time when he dropped that ball, it was intercepted. He was on the bench and saying, "No, it's not the finger. It's not the finger. It was me. It was me."
I don't know what that was. It was everything.
That was him. That was him.
Yeah. 23-yard attempt, and that is blocked. So an easy field goal attempt, and now you've got Adam Archuleta running down the sideline and finally forced out of bounds by McQuiston. 3 straight games for the Bears in which they have blocked an opponent's field goal. What a turn of events.
Israel Idonije, number 71, who is a great special teams player. He's the guy that's going to get it. And they do all these things so well. You know, it's defense, it's special teams, it's returns, it's blocking field goals. It's all these things that the Bears do well, and that's why they were in the Super Bowl last year.
Of those 3 blocked field goals, he has 2 of them. And now Chicago, a moment ago, they should have been down 10-3. Instead, it's 3-3. They have it in Dallas territory, and Grossman's throw is incomplete. Down the field, intended for the tight end, Desmond Clark. It'll be 2nd down and 10, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning. A lot going on in Chicago. Not much scoring, but plenty of action. 3-3. Just Collinsworth, Olbermann in New York. Best moments from week 3. Worst person in the NFL. Toyota halftime show, and Ozum Motley. Not to be confused with those Motley crew. Bada boom, bada bing, performing at halftime. 2nd down and 10 at the 46-yard line. That pass is caught. And Bernard Berrien fights his way for a 1st down. Forward progress will spot it at about the 35, under 2 minutes to play.
Berrien ran a hook there, and just watching in his first half, Grossman seems a lot more comfortable throwing hooks and outs. He looked very good throwing those. Not so good on the ends.
Well, at 6'1", is he more comfortable looking to the outside?
I think so, yeah. And then, you know, if he can find that gap that he was looking for right there, yeah.
Oh, he's perfectly comfortable there. And Bernard Berrien would have had, if not a touchdown, set up a 1st down and goal right in his hands, a la Creighton on the last series.
Yeah, and that was a perfect call there. Bernard Berrien makes a good move. He goes for the slant. Anthony Henry tries to jump the slant. Then Berrien goes up. And again, you know, you have to get your hands out in front of your body. You can't let the ball get into your shoulder pad, or that will always happen to you. And that was a perfect call, the perfect defense, the perfect pattern, and he dropped it.
Soulmates. Berrien's caught 5 and dropped 2. 2nd down and 10. And backing up was Grossman. The pressure was put on that time to Marcus Ware, who already has a sack tonight. 1:20 now, 3rd down and 10 coming up for Chicago.
That's why when you have a pass rusher like DeMarcus Ware, even though it's a screen pass and you try and invite the rush and then throw it over him, someone has to stay with DeMarcus Ware. Because you watch, he comes here, no one touches him, so he gets a free run at Rex Grossman. Now Rex Grossman can't even get a screen pass off.
From the shotgun. And Rex will take a timeout. That's Chicago's 2nd one remaining. 80 seconds to the half. Game tie. Not sure, John, if that's waxing or waning. Nearly full.
It's going to be full tomorrow night or the next night, but it's a moon that has allowed pretty good pass protection tonight.
And a couple of drops.
Drops. A lot of drops in that moon.
Short drop here on 3rd and 10, and that pass is incomplete. Berrien looks around for a flag. There is none. The coverage there by Anthony Henry. So if they want to attempt a field goal here, they're looking at about a 53-yarder, and that will be the case as Robbie Gould is going to come out.
That was interesting there. Anthony Henry jumping that slant. he had jumped that slant earlier, and that's when Berrien went by him and dropped the ball, but he came right back and jumped it again.
Bobby Gold, as you can see, has never attempted a field goal of this distance. Normally in Chicago, you always have some sort of weather. It's perfect right now. It's beautiful. That will be no excuse. And they'll toss it back to him, and then Gold will look to throw, and he will throw into traffic, and that is incomplete. Nathan Jones read that one pretty nicely. And so they're unable to convert off the break that they got after the Creighton drop, and they missed field goal.
This didn't have a chance. This call must have come off that moonshot we had. That play kind of looked like it, didn't it?
Well, the one good thing for Chicago here is it saved them 7 to 8 yards. If you try a field goal and you miss it, then Dallas would have started from about the 42.5. There it is again. We blame everything on that. Instead, because it was an actual play, as if it was a pass play, a regular pass play, conventional, they start back at the 35.
Right, but I mean, you have your kicker and the receiver is your holder and the other receiver is your tight end. He didn't have a chance. It's a moonshot.
Once in a blue moon. That pass is incomplete, intended for Owens. And it will be second down and 10. We can tell you that Sunday Night Football is being brought to you by Best Buy. For a complete home theater experience, get HD done right at Best Buy. By Subway, restaurants in the Subway, fresh fit meals, Subway Eat Fresh. By eBay, shop victoriously. And by Farmers Insurance. To find an agent near you, call 1-800-FARMERS. Aerial coverage being provided by Gillette Deodorant, looking down into refurbished Soldier Field. Reopened in 2003. Did a beautiful job with it. Second down and 10. And they're going to keep it on the ground. And this is Barber. And we got a flag here as Briggs hitting first. They might have gotten a face mask.
What they tried to do is hit the draw up the middle. When they get third and long, second and long, or third and long, both tackles get outside.
Offense number 76. A 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Nope. No face mask. Instead, it's Flozell Adams with his second penalty of the night. Dallas is 7.
No, I was just saying what they do is both the defensive tackles line up outside the guards, so they really give you the middle. And you can run a draw in there, but when you run the draw in there, you better block those speedy linebackers, so they're the guys that give you the problem on the second level. Because the first level, these guys here are just lining up outside the guards and going after the quarterback.
With effectiveness.
So like this, but the good news is the tackles are outside the guards. The bad news is the linebackers are inside.
And now you've got a 7-man front there as they back off. And the pass intended for Owens is incomplete, staying right with him. Shadowing him again is Charles Tillman. Owens tonight has caught 3 passes for 40 yards.
Yeah, and again, I think that's a good matchup. I mean, when you ask a guy to play Terrell Owens the whole game, that's a tough job because he's big, he's a physical guy, he's a tough receiver, so you have to match that. And I think that's what Tillman does. I mean, Tillman is a big guy, he's a tough guy, he's a physical guy, and he can stay with Terrell Owens.
Bottom of the screen, there's that matchup. They're going to give it to Barber. And Barber will chug up to the 32-yard line. So they'll punt. And Chicago will take a timeout, their final one. 46 seconds remain. And it at least gives Hester an opportunity to perhaps do something. Going to allow him to. Matt McBriar had a phenomenal year last year. Former Australian rules player. Came over. Went to the Pro Bowl. Hester's going to call for a fair catch. And he makes it to the 29-yard line. The Pulse tonight. Numbers for Grossman. 1 pick. 78 yards. Romo, 1 good drive. But an interception spoiled his opportunity for a touchdown. Benson averaging about 3 yards per carry. And then you had That drop by Berrien, which would have set up a 1st and goal, and you had Creighton dropping a sure touchdown pass for Dallas. From the 29 now, Grossman throws to Clark, and Clark will try to get out of bounds, and does, and gets horse-collared as well. So he's out of bounds. Wade Phillips removes the headset with a authority and says that was not a horse collar, and there, of course, is the man who created that rule.
Roy Williams, the master of the horse collar.
Foul. Illegal horse collar tackle. Defense. 15-yard penalty and a 1st down.
There it is. That's exactly what a horse collar is. You just get. At one time they said you had to get inside the shoulder pads, but now it's inside the jersey and bring the guy down from behind. But the big thing it does, it puts the Bears in a better position here to take a shot.
At the 50-yard line, 1st down. Grossman throws, knocked away. You know, I guess, John, it's one of those things where you just can't help yourself. I mean, you are the reason there's a penalty like a horse collar, right? You know it's because of you. You know that it's a penalty. And it's like you can't help yourself.
Yeah, but you know it when you're thinking. When you're playing on instincts, and it's an instinct, your instinct doesn't think. I mean, your instinct is a reaction, and that's Roy Williams' action and instinct. That doesn't make it right. I mean, it's still a penalty, but you just see a guy and you run after him and you grab him, and that's where he grabbed him.
2nd down and 10. Grossman will sling it to the outside, and that's a shirt tackle made there as Kevin Burnett comes in to tackle Adrian Peterson. And Chicago doesn't have a timeout.
Right, if you're just going to sling it outside like that, why even worry about huddling up again and spiking it?
Right.
You got to do something.
Well, you spike it here, and that's going to allow you to. Well, you know, you think about this. Grossman, if you throw a Hail Mary here, you better make sure that you don't get sacked like before the play clock expires. Otherwise, you're going to have Dallas with an opportunity to be in Chicago territory. So, I mean, if you're going to, you know, that's the craziest thing, to spike it, to set up a 4th down. The defense, of course, isn't going to allow you to get close to the goal line.
Right, and you're still the Chicago Bears. I mean,
right.
You've scored, what, 1 touchdown all season, and that was to a tackle?
There's Owens playing safety.
Yeah, they have 4. The Cowboys have 4 guys deep in the goal line.
Look at this. You've got a flag, and you're going to have, well, the clock ran out, but if they look at this again, and it can be reviewed upstairs, then Chicago may have given up the ball, and Wade Phillips is saying we might have one more play if that's on Chicago.
Offense number 76.
And it is. They can decline it.
Because the penalty occurred on the last play of the game, last play of the half, by the offense. The half is over.
Well, that's interesting. He's down. The question is, where was the clock? Take a look at this. There's the clock at the bottom of the screen. When is the play whistle dead? Here comes Ware. He's going to come in. There's the hold. He gets tripped. He goes down. There should be a couple of seconds on the clock. And Dallas is arguing that point right now with Ron Winter because Romo's out on the field. Phillips wants an explanation here, but there should be time on the clock to let Dallas run one more play.
Right, but there's not going to be, because Ron Winter walked off the field one way and Wade Phillips and Tony Romo walked off the field the other way.
So that is the half, which ends with controversy here. 3-3 Detroit, a halftime show coming your way from New York after this. With almost no wind tonight. No scoring, but as I said earlier, a lot of action in the first half. A lot of things to talk about, including the last play of the first half. We'll get to that again. Robbie Gould will be kicking off with Tyson Thompson and Miles Austin back deep. Thompson will run, and then he'll have it glance off his knee and go out of bounds at about the 11-yard line. First half ending on this play. It's 4th down. We talked about what Chicago was doing in the first place. We didn't understand. Grossman, and look at the clock at the bottom. Here's one of the keys. Ware comes in. The play should be over right there. 3 seconds. Watch Ron Winter. The referee's going to come in. This is a 4th down change of possession. He's winding the clock. He wound the clock They should have at least had a second or two, which would have enabled them to attempt a 54-yard field goal or a Hail Mary or whatever. Not reviewable inside the last 2 minutes upstairs, but clearly an error in judgment in terms of winding the clock on a change of possession. That was a 4th down play. Here is Creighton for a gain of 8. Andrea talked to Wade Phillips. What did he have to say, Andrea?
Well, as you can imagine, Wade Phillips, as angry and animated as I've seen him, he was furious. He said there should have been at least 1 second left on the clock. As for his team's offense, he said it wasn't so much that they weren't in rhythm, but there were too many penalties, and he said not getting that field goal really hurt. But guys, huge news for the Bears. Linebacker Lance Briggs is out with a groin injury. Jamar Williams takes his place. Lovie Smith said they won't change anything on defense.
Briggs, obviously, key man for them, one of the best linebackers in the league. Romo's going to step up, hold on to the ball, and then throw against the grain and find Owens. So Terrell gets free, and that's a first down. Improvisation out to the 37-yard line.
Yeah, we talked about the Bears and their 8-man front, and when they bring Adam Archuleta up as a safety, he becomes the 8th man. On that play, he blitzed. And he blitzed on Romo's left side, and that's the side that Romo ran to. If you'll see, the blitz is going to come right in here. You see Archuleta blitzes that side. Now he doesn't have anything to his right, so he runs out to the side that the blitz came from because it was a great blitz pickup by the Cowboys.
Chicago very active in their defensive alignment before the snap. And after all, that a 3-yard gain for Julius Jones out to the 39-yard line. Stats through the first half right there. 8-1 on the penalty ledger. Only 139 yards for Dallas and 105 for Chicago.
Right, and that's when, Wade Phillips was talking about those 8 penalties killed him because it brought some plays back and gave him some terrible field position.
2nd down and 7. From the 39-yard line. Romo deep over the middle and off the fingertips of Jason Witten, who in the first half collected 3 passes for 72 yards. 3rd down.
One of the big matchups in here is Tommy Harris coming up the middle, and you watch here he's going against Leonard Davis. And he just kind of pushes him to the outside so that Romo, after the play pass, can come out of it. Here we'll look at it. Tommy Harris, one of the good pass rushers. Leonard Davis, one of the biggest guys in football, 350 pounds, is tough to get through. You're not going to get through him, and he's pretty tough to get around.
3rd down and 7 from the 39-yard line. Romo stepping up, hit from behind, gets it off, catch made. Owens over the middle, drew a crowd. Romo got it in there in between Archuleta and Tillman, and that's a gain of 18 to move the chains.
This is the thing that Tony Romo can do so well, is move in the pocket. And we see Tommy Harris is going to be right there, and just as he goes to wrap him up, Tony Romo is still looking upfield, and throws the ball while he's being tackled. That's the advantage of being a great athlete and a great competitor. You have to be able to throw the ball from different angles, including your knees.
Romo. That's Owens again, so they keep calling 81's number. Almost a horse tackle there by Jamar Williams, but he got his hand away in time. Still, Terrell has a first down at the 32-yard line.
Well, the thing that they know is they can run Terrell Owens on crossing patterns. Here he starts in motion and just goes across the field, and he had Tillman all the way on that one. I mean, because you start with a motion and then the ball snapped and you just continue on across, and the Cowboys have been getting that all night.
Meanwhile, you've got Adewale Ogunleye, who is shaken up. He's down on one knee back at the 47. They've already lost Briggs. Injury timeout. There's Ogunleye. We saw him on one knee. They work on him. Alex Brown comes in to spell him. He would play a lot anyway, but now he's really going to be more than part of a rotation, depending on Ogunleye's status. Romo with that great pocket presence. And again, it's Owens. Owens to the 9-yard line for a first and goal. Terrell Owens has now caught 7 passes tonight for 110 yards.
You know, that was the thing we were talking about earlier, is can Tony Romo get away from the inside rush? And he's done it a couple times. See, here comes Tommy Harris again. Romo just sidesteps him, gets to the outside, again, continues to look downfield and find Terrell Owens right there. And that's the thing where this guy is so good, because protection can break down, he can get a rush, but he can still keep a play alive.
Jones is the tailback. Here's Julius. And Julius Jones is out of bounds at the 3. His brother Thomas, the former Bear, now with the Jets, had a 100-yard day today. Julius and Marion Barber going back and forth in the Dallas backfield. 2nd and goal.
You know, and one of the things when Jason Garrett came in here, he wasn't going to just, you know, take Julius Jones out when they got inside the red zone, because before they would kind of put Marion Barber in this situation, and Jason was saying if Julius Jones is in there, then he's going to stay in there. If Barber's in there in any situation, he'll stay in there.
2nd down and goal. Off the fake to the end zone. Touchdown to Witten. Archuleta was on him. The play fake helps set up the play, and right over the middle is Witten for the score. Dallas goes down the field. They started this drive back at their own 11. After the kickoff was fumbled out of bounds, they go 89 yards in 9 plays.
Yeah, here's Jason Witten, and he's going to win that battle against Archuleta because he's so big. I mean, he's 6'5", 260 pounds. And once he gets in this position right there, there's nothing Archuleta can do about it.
So that Bear defense now minus Briggs for the rest of the night. Agunleye went out about halfway through the drive. And Dallas mounts a great-looking drive with 2 rushing plays, 7 passing plays. Owens, the big man. Virginia McCaskey, the daughter of George Hallis, in her usual perch here, watching her team giving up that go-ahead touchdown to make it 10-3. And now Chicago will get the ball for the first time in this half. It is dropped by Hester. Hester has to collect it, and Hester in trouble. Runs parallel along the goal line and then out of bounds at the 14. So the second time they have kicked to Hester tonight. Flirting with fire, but getting away with it. Here's Andrea.
Well, it's interesting. I watched Rex Grossman on the sidelines for the first couple of series in the first half. What he typically does is comes off, looks at the pictures with quarterback coach Pep Hamilton and the other fellow quarterbacks, then just likes to walk away. He had told me before he likes to keep his thoughts to himself, thinking about what's ahead. He will get on the phone with his offensive coordinator, Ron Turner, but really, guys, he doesn't want a lot of people in his ear. He just wants to keep to himself.
And right now he'll keep to himself beginning at the 14-yard line, but a flag for a false start begins this drive for Chicago.
False start. Offense number 87. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Hussein Muhammad. John, on that last drive, Owens 4 catches for 70 yards on that 91-yard drive.
Terrell Owens already has 7 catches for the night, and they're all the same type of thing. Those, you know, crossing patterns, and you just kind of got the feeling that that was the adjustment the Cowboys made offensively at halftime. You know, let's come out, we're going to throw, let's get some protection, and we're going to throw the ball to Terrell Owens on crossing.
On 1st and 15, this is Benson taking it up to the 14-yard line.
You know, one of the things Andrew was just talking about, Rex Grossman and not having a lot of people in his ear. One thing you can't do is you can't let players talk to the quarterback. I mean, you can't let receivers come up and probably say, I want the ball. You can't let runners say, you know, run me the ball. You can't let offensive linemen say, run to my side, those types of things. You have to have all the players just leave them alone.
2nd and 10, Grossman. Protection is great this time, but so is the coverage by that secondary. Muhammad is double teamed by Reeves and Spencer. 3rd and 10, Boo Birds come out.
You know, one of the things the Bears probably talked about is getting Musa Muhammad, number 87, involved here. And so they're trying to do that. Now Grossman comes on a roll, so he starts, you know, running a hook and coming in, and then he just keeps going to the out on that side, and that was burying on the other side here.
3rd down and 10 at the 14. Carpenter showing blitz, then backs off and into coverage. Grossman nearly got sacked from behind. He's going to dive for the first down and get it. Across the 25 to the 26-yard line. He does it himself.
Yeah, and Rex Grossman has to do that. Every quarterback has to be able to make a play with his legs. When we just saw that last drive, we saw Tony Romo do it, and then we see right here Rex Grossman has to do it. If they give you that gap, if they give you that hole, you have to take it, but you also have to get a first down. Look at Rex Grossman here. He knows where he has to get for that first down, and he gets there.
Second longest run of his career from the 26-yard line. He throws. He has the open man. Clark, the tight end. Williams tried to bump him down and couldn't, and that cost Dallas about another 25 yards. Hamlin finally catches up with him. All the way to the 21-yard line.
As you say, Roy Williams had pretty good position on. We can see right there, it's the outside receiver, and he runs a little out and then back into the middle. A little out and up as a tight end from the slot, Desmond Clark, and then he's a big, strong guy. Roy Williams knows that you have to wrap up on a tackle. He doesn't wrap up on Desmond Clark, and Clark gets another 20 yards.
52 on the play. From the 22. Grossman staying in the pocket. Over the middle. He winds up hitting Greg Olsen, the #1 draft choice, for a first down at the 1. So he goes to one tight end, the veteran, then he goes to the other, making his NFL debut, first and goal.
And they couldn't wait to get Greg Olsen back. Here he is right here. He's the tight end. They really worked with him on this pattern a lot on Friday. They said once they get in the red zone, Greg Olsen is going to be a big threat. And you can see right here, Rex Grossman can see him. He darn near looks at him all the way. That was where he was going.
First and goal. And Benson will take it in. The big play, well, a couple of them, but go back to Rex Grossman on a 3rd and 10, running for the first down. Then the pass to Clark. Then to Olsen. Now the touchdown.
You're right. The big play was Rex Grossman running. You see right there, Reuben Brown, the big left guard, number 74. He pulls, and he's going to lead Benson as he starts to lead him right there. There's no one to block. He just puts his head down, runs into the end zone. Benson puts his head down and runs right in behind him.
Gold for the extra point. Well, everybody was booing on second down. Then they started cheering on third down with that run. And now they're ecstatic. 10-10. Football Night in America starts things at 7 Eastern Time. 10-10 here. Kickoff taken by Tyson Thompson at the 4-yard line. And with a flag down, the native of Irving, Texas, brings it back up to the 25-yard line.
You know, that Eagle offense was really something today, wasn't it?
Well, in the returns, holding. Number 19 in the return team. Penalized half the distance to the goal. First down.
You know, great players and coaches may be bad sometimes, but they don't stay bad.
Not too long. Especially. One thing that borders on amazing is the fact that Rex Grossman, who had that great run on 3rd and 10, almost never scrambles as Romo on first down throws, and that is caught by Witten. Over the last 2 seasons, Grossman has 27 carries. 22 have been kneel downs or fumbles. 3 were sneaks. So that was only over the last 2 seasons the 3rd real run for Rex Grossman. And what a run. That may have turned a few things around.
Right, and it was exactly what he needed and exactly what the team needed at the right time. And quarterbacks have to be able to do that. If they're going to rush you wildly and give you those gaps, you have to take them 2 or 3 times a game.
2nd and 4. And that pass is a little low and incomplete, intended for Creighton. Coverage was very good. Nathan Vasher, 31, was there. 3rd down and 4.
I think you see that Brian Urlacher is coming on a blitz. You'll see number 54 right here blitzing, and I think that Tony Romo knows that, so he starts to move a little. See him fake to the left, move out to his right, but again, always looking upfield. That time, I think he threw it away from the defense rather than throwing it to Creighton.
3rd and 4 again. Owens has been lining up in the backfield and then going in motion, as is the case here. Romo, flag. For the moment, it's a first down. Barber to the 25-yard line.
Doesn't sometimes Tony Romo just look like he's playing out in the park?
He does.
He just got to take the ball and he runs out there a little and he points to Barber, keep going, go some more, and throws it to him.
He has those instincts.
Offense number 70. Penalized half the distance to the goal. Repeat, 3rd down.
Leonard Davis is an injury. That's Vasher, who was in on the tackle, the Chicago cornerback. So another Chicago defensive injury. Slightly pulled. Well, I'm saying slightly because Vasher's now walking off groin pull. We saw it on the replay, and Vasher's going to come off. They've already lost Briggs tonight to a groin pull.
There's Nathan Vasher right there. You can see him in a cover 2 zone. He starts to run, and right there, he pulls up.
So we'll get him checked out. We know Briggs is done. We know Ricky Manning Jr., who normally plays in the nickel and dime, will come in for Vasher. He's been a big play guy. You've got Jamar Williams playing in Briggs' spot. Agunle is back in the game. And it's 3rd down and 11 now for the Dallas Cowboys from the 8-yard line.
And Tony Romo is a quarterback that's not afraid of a third and 11. The Cowboys can be successful in this situation.
Romo over the middle. Owens. What a night for this guy. And look at this. He's not done yet. Out to the 47-yard line. Sam Hurd threw a real nice block to help spring him for even more yardage. So out of a hole they come from 3rd and 11 to first down near midfield, 35 yards.
Yeah, we're talking about that wide rush that the Bears use. And you can see, look at the middle that they give Tony Romo there. Not only can he step up to throw in there, but he has great vision in the middle. And then you bring Terrell Owens across, and you're going to see everything that he does. You see that block there by Sam Hurd?
Oh, yeah, and Archuleta.
Yeah, wide receivers have to do that. That's part of their program and part of what they get paid for.
Up at the 43. 5:20 to go in the 3rd. Romo slings it wide open. That's Hurd, and that's Archuleta again. So the two guys who faced each other on the last play, with Hurd getting the best of Archuleta, and he does it again to him on a play that covers 25 yards.
Don't you like to see that kind of reward? Is a guy makes a block, and then the next play you throw him a deep one? He started on the left side, came in motion across the field, caught him in his zone, and then caught that ball in between the short guy and the deep guy.
Beat the corner. Archuleta came over to stop him at the 32-yard line. Romo. That presence again. Well, he's so good at turning those shoulders, and the pass is incomplete. John's talking about the instincts in the playground. He's so good at just moving those shoulders left and right and buying that extra time.
Right, and that's the type of thing that you really can't teach. I mean, there's so many things that Tony Romo does that are just instinct. I mean, he feels that rush, but even when he feels the rush, he gets away from it, and his eyes go upfield again. I mean, he never puts his eyes down. He never looks at the rush. He doesn't worry about it. He's always looking upfield to get the ball down there.
Second and 10 from the 32-yard line. And a quick pass for Creighton. This time he holds on. He's had trouble tonight handling the football, and he is close to a first down.
Don't you feel that the Cowboys now are a little like the Patriots were last Sunday night, that that the running is tough, and and that middle is tough to run in, and they're so fast and good tacklers, just their defense, that why waste time running? Why not just throw the ball every down? And when you have a guy that has as much confidence as Romo has, that's really not a bad plan.
And he's doing it without a guy who would be his number 2 receiver. That's Terry Glenn, who had his knee scoped a couple of weeks ago. And they hope to have him back at an undetermined time, maybe mid-season. Timeout.
I've just been enjoying this city and Michigan Avenue and everything there is here. I mean, this is about, the Bears and the Cubs and sports, and it's just a great place to spend a week.
From the 22-yard line to the outside, Barber. Of course, everybody talking about the Cubs. Baseball season with a week to go. Cubs appear to be on their way to postseason play. Lou Piniella comes in, as he's done so many times in his career. Helps to resurrect the team. Who knows?
Right. I'm sitting in the lobby the other night, just sitting there, not bothering anyone. Guess who walks up? I swear, Ernie Banks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Cub. Let's play 2.
Yep.
No, that's great. I mean, that's one of the great things about this job and traveling and sports is you get to meet class and great people like an Ernie Banks on your way to this.
And he means it, too. He could go to a doubleheader every day. 2nd down and 6. Barber. And Barber takes it close to a 1st down. Marion Barber's father is an NFL running back, primarily with the Jets years ago. Marion's really come along. Junior, 4th-round pick in 05 out of Minnesota. 16 touchdowns, including 14 rushing touchdowns last season.
Right, and he averages 6.2 yards per carry. So everyone says, why doesn't he play all the time instead of Julius Jones? Well, Julius Jones, plays some of those tough downs, those, the first 2 series, which are always the toughest in the game. And Marion Barber's a good back. He's a tough guy. He's a good blocker. I like what he does, but I kind of like the combo of both of them. It doesn't have to be either or.
3rd and a short 1. Barber. And Barber, despite running a lot on 3rd down last year, he was only 10 for 20. Not a good percentage on 3rd or 4th and 1, but he gets it here. So Marion Barber moves the chains. We tick down under 2 minutes to go in the quarter, and the ball will be spotted on the 10-yard line.
Well, it's Jason Witten is right here, and he's going to get a good lead block there. And again, Barber has a little patience. That if you just take that ball and just put your head down and ram it in there, that's not the way to get 1st downs. You have to have vision. You have to be able to make little cuts, find creases.
It's 1st and goal. The nose of the ball right on the 10. The Cowboys have 14 1st downs tonight. That's their 1st rushing. Swing pass. Barber. Cuts it back inside the 5, breaking tackles, goes in for the touchdown. Broke out of an Adam Archuleta tackle. So Adam had a series to forget. Getting blocked, getting over late on a long pass down the right sideline, and having a tackle broken here for a tie-breaking touchdown, 16-10.
Right, great running by Marion Barber after he caught that ball, because those are the types of things that the Bears do well. Fly to the ball, tackle well, those kinds of things. That time, Marion Barber did it better than the Bear defense did.
Nick Folk for the extra point. Cowboys 2 possessions in this half, 2 touchdowns. Chicago 1 possession and 1 touchdown after a 3-3 tie at the half. You should see this kid at Eastern Illinois, and then Sean, of course, wound up on the coaching staff at Dallas, now at New Orleans, and here's Tony as the Cowboy quarterback. Hester will take it at the 7-yard line. Yet to get on track tonight. And he takes it back to the 35-yard line. Andrea, what's up?
We just saw Tony Romo on the sidelines, and back in the 1st quarter after his interception, when things go badly, he said he just needs a moment to keep to himself to calm down. Then he initiates going to his teammates, like here with the offensive line. He sort of likes not to have too much information thrown at him, but typically when he's talking to Terrell Owens, they're talking about how defenses are playing him. 90% of the time he says it's about release patterns, but really he stays level-headed during much of the game.
Tony leading the team on 2 touchdown marches here in the third quarter. Now Grossman will start this drive by going to the outside. Works the sidelines again, this time to Cedric Benson out of the backfield for a gain of 8 yards.
You know, one thing I think the Bears have to do is continue to run, you know, and not just get into one of these things, pass all the time. Because remember talking to Lovie Smith the other day, he said, we're a running team. And I think if you are a running team, you better start to show it now.
Second down and 2. And again, Benson should have enough for a first down. Gets across the 45-yard line. Dallas thinks that the ball came loose. And that's going to be the case, barring a challenge. So a play that was so innocuous, which appeared to result in a 2-yard gain and a first down, winds up with Roy Williams getting the football. And obviously the coaches upstairs will take a close look at this and determine whether or not they want this play to be challenged. Lovie Smith right now waiting for the replay. For the moment, we're going to take a look at the replay here, which I know the Bears coaches can't wait to see either. Dallas wants to run a play right here. Chicago taking its time getting its defensive unit on the field.
Well, you can't see anything there. I mean, you can't see the ball or the player. I see the ball on the ground. You see Roy Williams get it. And again, did the ball come out before his knee went down?
The ball appears to come out. Chicago.
Yeah, you see the
Chicago
ball.
Challenged the ruling on the field.
Your ball come out, but you still didn't see his knee.
Well, Chicago had 2 choices there. They could have either called a timeout and waited for the replay, or challenge, in which case if you don't win you lose a timeout as well, but then you'd be down to a single challenge. And the ball does appear to come out.
Does appear to come out before his knee's down, you say?
Well, let's take another look. This is Remy Adele, Aiken Adele's brother, who was activated this week. Well, it's so obscured in there. And again, what's happened in the past couple of years is there it comes. At what point does it come out? You've got to be able to see a part of the body that would end the play down and possession of the
part.
Now, neither did I. I can't guess what Winter's going to do here.
Well, and if you can't guess, then I can't guess either.
After review,
that means you can't
ruling on the
overturn
field
it.
stands. The ball is fumbled. First down, Dallas. Chicago is charged for their first timeout.
One of those, he didn't see conclusive evidence.
Right, and he's in the same thing. I mean, you couldn't guess, I couldn't guess,
right.
He couldn't guess, so he had to stay with the call.
Well, Ron Winters in particular, a tough guy to guess with, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Very tight call. Benson had fumbled on only 2 of 267 carries coming into the game, so that's unusual in and of itself. And this is Jones making the catch. He's going to pick up the first down, and then he's going to get horse-collared without a flag, because that's Jamar Williams who comes in. But that was legal, didn't get inside the shoulder pad.
You know, these tight ends of the Cowboys do a good job blocking downfield. We saw Jason Witten. This time you're going to see Anthony Fasano. He makes a block there to let Julius Jones get to the outside. Is that a horse collar?
Well, he got the shirt. I mean, I think you could have called it.
It has to be inside the shirt.
Supposed to be. End of the quarter approaching before the snap. We played 3. After a 3-3 first half, 3 touchdowns here in the third quarter. 17-10 is the score, and Sunday Night Football comes back to Chicago after these messages. Touchdown at the 31-yard line. We start the period with a 1st and 10 for Tony Romo. Big night for Owens. 8 catches, 145 yards.
And he's still got some more in him.
Pump fake. Going deep. Too deep. Intended for Witten. Covered by Hillenmeyer.
You know, the one thing that Jason Garrett has done so well with Terrell Owens is moving him around. And most of the balls that he's going to catch are going to be right in there in the middle, kind of between the hashes. So he lines up outside and then comes in the middle and catch him there. So then you can do that. Then you line him up in the backfield and you let him kind of go in motion, but he still ends up in the same place between the hashes. He has been killing this Bear defense in that area from a lot of different places.
This time he's wide left, and you got movement up front.
You know, that's always Tommy Harris. I mean, Tommy Harris gets off on the ball faster than any defensive lineman. And a lot of the time,
defense number 91.
Yep, that was they caught him that time.
It remains second down.
But that's such a fine line there. You know, is he getting off before the snap? Watch him here, or right on the snap. Remember in that San Diego game, he got off on the ball and hit Phillip Rivers, the quarterback, before he got the snap.
And created a fumble.
That was when the Chargers were going in for a score.
Yep. Second down and 5. And that's a big hole for Jones inside the 10. First and goal at the 3, but a flag down at the 19-yard line. And the indication is against Dallas.
You know, and
holding offense number 76. A 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Flozell Adams.
And there's penalties, and I know that's what Wade Phillips is thinking, that, you know, we're a good offense, but doggone it, we have way too many penalties. You're going to see him right here. He's going to go on. Oh, he didn't have to hold him there. It was on Hunter Hillenmeyer that he was holding, but he had position on him, and he didn't have to do that.
3 penalties on Adams, 11 for 90 yards on Dallas.
Yeah, that kills him. But I'll tell you one thing: this Cowboy offense has worn down the Bear defense. Don't they look tired? I mean, they look like, you know, where they were so quick and, you know, and flying to the ball. Now they're a half a step slower on everything.
Hey, they wore down the Giants on opening night. They wore down Miami in the second half last week. You saw Jones come off the field with some assistance. Barber is the back. Hurd goes in motion. The fake to Marion Barber. Romo stepping up. Again, that presence, and turns a would-be sack into a first down as he hits Jason Witten to the 20-yard line.
You know, and I believe him when he says that. You know, he said that he can look right or left, but in looking right or left, he always sees the middle. You see, he's looking right out there, but then he makes a turn and comes right back to the middle because, you know, it's not just looking and just seeing one thing. His peripheral vision is so good that as he's looking to the outside, he can still see the middle. And that's where he's finding Jason Witten, and that's where he's been finding Terrell Owens all night.
And his instincts, that a lot of it has to be just God-given to be able to feel it the way he does. This time it doesn't matter because it is Brian Urlacher who comes in and says, I've seen enough of that God-given stuff. You're going down.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Maybe he didn't say given. But he came flying in there, and you're right. Urlacher says we've had enough of that stuff. And again, you know, someone has to block him. I mean, you know, that the guy is, you know, we're talking about Tony Romo, he is Superman, but if you don't give him a little more help than Marion Barber gave him on that one, then Urlacher's going to get him to the ground.
Urlacher with 2 sacks tonight, 3 in the last 2 weeks after going 28 games without a sack.
It just took Terrell Owens out.
Second and 20, here's Barber. Bowling balls his way to the 25-yard line. Jamarl Williams filling in for the injured Lance Briggs on the stop.
Yeah, we've talked about this Bear defense getting a little tired and worn down. I think Terrell Owens has caught so many passes. He's caught 8 passes already. I think he's kind of worn himself down. So he just went out for 1 play. He's coming back in right now.
Bob Babbage took over as the defensive coordinator. Ron Rivera was here last year. Rivera then goes to San Diego.
I'd say the 2 guys I would take away right here would be Terrell Owens and Witten.
Owens wide to the right. Witten comes off the line on the left side. The pass is for Owens, and it is incomplete. Charles Tillman was there, read it perfectly, was able to step in front and force the incompletion, and Dallas will settle for a field goal attempt.
Well, they finally took that thing away. They're going to get a blitz here from this side, and you see Romo feels it, so he starts to go to the right. But where does he look? He looks for Terrell Owens in that same spot where he's been throwing it to him all night, right between the hashes. Threw it a little behind him, though, didn't it?
This will be a 44-yard field goal attempt. Nick Folk has had one block tonight. Brad Johnson, the veteran quarterback, to hold. He puts it down, and the kick is good. So that makes it a two-possession game. 12-10 remaining in the fourth. 20-10 Cowboys. Top of the show tonight. You go into Chicago, you beat these guys on the road. Who's better than you after 3 weeks in that conference?
Bears need Hester right now.
Here he is. And they strip him of the ball, but he gets it back. But what coverage tonight by the Cowboys. They started out by not kicking to him. And then it is Keith Davis who stripped it. Ian Badejo is the guy who actually got it back to keep possession for Chicago. But a swarming special teams effort tonight by the Dallas Cowboys.
You know, sometimes that's a great motivator. You know, you say we're going to kick away from this guy, and then players say, no, let's kick to him. We're not afraid of him. Come on, kick him. We'll show you. So then when you do kick it, then you better get down there and make a play like Keith Davis just made. This is what the Bears usually do so well. I mean, the Bears tackle and strip and do those kinds of things.
Adrian Peterson is in the backfield. Grossman will go deep down the sideline. Then it's picked off. And that's Henry with his second and fourth in 2 weeks. Inside the 10 and a touchdown. As Keith Jackson would say, whoa, Nelly.
Right, that's exactly what the Cowboys needed and exactly what the Bears didn't need. And what they needed was a good drive, keep their defense off the field, let them get rested, and instead they get this. I mean, that play didn't have a chance. I mean, he had a rush, and you talk about throwing into a crowd. Look at this. See, DeMarcus Ware got there and kind of deflected the ball as he was dropping back, but that was still thrown into a crowd of white jerseys.
Whistle before the attempt. 4 picks for Henry now. He leads the league. All 4 coming against Miami and Chicago in the last 2 weeks.
Neutral zone infraction, defense number 96.
Well, the chant starts, greasy, greasy is what you're hearing.
And they're booing Rex Grossman down there in the front, too.
Cause the ball to become dead. Therefore, the snap has to be retried. The penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
So they'll attempt the extra point again, and then the penalty gets assessed. And, of course, there is Brian Greasy, who's been waiting in the wings, and there was a call for Greasy last year. And don't forget, 2 years ago, when Grossman got hurt, Kyle Orton came in and led the team into the playoffs, even though that was all about defense that year. Like it's not now, but you know what I'm talking about. And the kick is good.
And it's going to start again this week or continue again this week, and the Bears are going to have to start thinking about making a change.
(27-10) after the Henry run back. Hester. And again, just a phenomenal job with a flag thrown here. Patrick Watkins, the big 6'5" safety, now a special teams guy for the most part for Dallas. Make sure that Hester doesn't get on track. 2 flags on the play.
Yeah, they have the Bears on the heels now, and they're just keep pushing them back and back and back. I mean, they are completely controlling this game. It was one of those things I said earlier, you know, that this was going to be a big test for Tony Romo, and because he was going to see a pass rush like he's never seen, a powerful inside pass rush with speed. from the outside, and I'll tell you, he has handled it brilliantly.
Illegal block in the back during the return, number 16 of the return team. That penalty will be assessed from the 8-yard line, half the distance to the goal. After the play was over, delay of game, illegal spike, return team. That penalty is declined. First down.
I guarantee you one thing this week, folks. Grossman will get 100 times the criticism of McNabb. For somebody like Donovan McNabb, when you look at that rating, which is a perfect rating at 158.3, Grossman hit as he throws, and the pass is collected by Berrien. But the week starts with McNabb embroiled in the controversy surrounding his remarks to James Brown. Everybody's saying, well, his knee is not 100%. People saying, well, maybe it's time for McNabb to leave Philadelphia. They're facilitating his exit. Then there's some speculation in Chicago. McNabb's a Chicago kid. Maybe we can get him here. Well, McNabb is not going anywhere right now except the Meadowlands next week.
Right, and you know, a player can have a bad game, an offense can have a bad game, but like I said, great players and coaches and systems don't stay bad.
It's Berrien dropping it here. 2nd down and 10.
If you say, what did Rex Grossman do well tonight? The one thing he did well was throw this out pattern. I mean, he threw the outs and the hooks pretty well. Although that one was intercepted, but he didn't have a chance on that one. But where he doesn't throw well are the ends, and he really didn't have any deep ones other than that one that Berrien dropped earlier.
Brian Greasy on the sideline as Grossman shot puts one over the middle. That's caught by Adrian Peterson. Let's go to Andrea.
Well, with all the speculation about what's happening to Rex next week, what about next year? He is in the last year of his contract. He told me that the Bears said to him in the offseason that they want to see him take the next step, which is similar to what they told Lovie Smith last year, and he was rewarded handsomely after he produced by taking the team to the Super Bowl. Grossman said he understands he's only had 1 full year as a starter. He said it hasn't affected his preparation. Really, his individual performance is more important than anything now. But one other thing, guys, I asked Tommy Harris, do you still have faith with him in the locker room? And he said we have to, and if we don't, just shut up about it.
Let's put it this way. When it comes to leverage, Tony Romo, whose contract's up, has a little bit more right now than Rex Grossman.
Right, and you know, and like Tommy Harris says, he's your guy and you have to back him. But how long does he stay your guy? Now, if you go to Brian Greasy, like I said, that's a Band-Aid. That's not the answer. That's not the long-term answer. So then you have to start all over again. And you have too many of the pieces to be a real good team to have to start all over again.
And that's something, John, I think a lot of people overlook as they pick up the first down here on the Peterson run. It's not as if you're saying, okay, it's time for the veteran to go. We got this young up-and-coming guy, and let's see what happens with him. This is Greasy going into his 10th season. I mean, Brian is tried and true, but here's a guy, I mean, Brian with Denver and Miami and Tampa Bay and now Chicago. And there's Kyle Orton, the other quarterback, who's number 3. That's not the long-term answer.
No, and then you have to have a long-term answer, so then you have to start all over again to get a quarterback. And then someone said, why didn't 5 years ago you take Tony Romo, who was just down the road, and then go into that side of the street? I would say, if I'm Jerry Jones, I think Tony Romo has shown me enough that I would start to tie him up.
Calf roping. They'll tie him up pretty soon.
I don't know. You know, I mean, it's one of those things that they can let him go and then franchise him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mess with him that way. I wouldn't do that.
That's true. Mohammed picks up the first down on that reception. And that pass to the outside is incomplete, intended for Mohammed. Speaking of that Romo contract, Andrea?
I'm just brimming with contract information, guys. I talked to Jerry Jones before the game, and he said they are continuing to talk, but he said the more games that Romo plays, the more he knows and the better decisions he can make. And remember, there is no pressure to get the contract done. I know you don't like to hear it, John, but Romo can be franchised for the next 2 seasons. So as far as they're concerned, they really have him wrapped up for that period of time.
Yeah, but that's not enough, and Jerry Jones is a smart guy and knows that.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. It's not something you want to do with a guy who you want to be the face of the franchise for a while. Here's Adrian Peterson. Meanwhile, the Bears have also seen Reuben Brown get shaken up on this series, the starting left guard, and he was taken back to the locker room. So they're paying a price in terms of injuries tonight as well as on the scoreboard.
Yeah, the Cowboys have come in here and whipped them pretty good tonight.
3rd and 10. It was 3-3 at the half. Grossman. Ooh, here comes the crowd again. Anthony Spencer with a sack. But you've got a flag back at the 36-yard line, and you've got a face mask call coming up here.
I don't mean to beat up Grossman, but that's the difference. I mean, if you get a free rusher on Grossman on the spot, gets him. A free rusher on Romo, you're still playing football.
Wade Phillips declining the call.
Grasping the face mask. Number 57 offense. Penalties decline. Brings up 4th down.
That's Krutz, the center.
This is a thing that really hurt the Bears in the Kansas City games, is just stunts where you see right here, here's Spencer here. He starts on the outside, comes on a twist, coming right up the middle. The Chiefs killed him with that last week.
Maynard to punt. Creighton stands back at the Cowboy 25-yard line. There's a flag. Creighton fields at the 33. And out of bounds he goes. Already had 16 penalties in the game. 11 have been called on Dallas.
You know, all the things that Lovie Smith.
Holding. Number 42 of the receiving team. Penalized at the end of the kick, 10 yards. 1st down.
Less than 9 to play. The Cowboys trying to go to 3-0.